It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. Now, normally I'd be asking you, where have you been all week? But whoa, we ran into some technical difficulties this morning. And that's all that time. So in order to kind of keep the continuity going and we don't want to be set back, let me just say good morning to you. I'm so happy to be here. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Now, I'm going to send you to go get that healthy breakfast, to go tell somebody that, yes, Pastor Steph, and it's Dew Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, make sure you come back and don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Crawford County, Arkansas, in July 1838, Bass Reeves endured a challenging childhood. His early years were marked by forced labor and violence, but he secretly honed skills that would define his legacy: fluency in multiple Native American languages, sharpshooting, and tracking. These were talents learned while escaping bondage during the Civil War to live among Seminole and Creek nations in Indian Territory in Oklahoma. These survival skills, paired with his imposing 6 feet 2 inches frame, forged him into a frontier polymath. In 1875, Reeves made history as the first black deputy U.S. Marshals. Tasked with taming the lawless Indian Territory, Reeves became a living legend over his 32-year career. His record remains unmatched. He made 3,000 arrests of outlaws and countless warrants while covering over 75,000 square miles of rugged terrain. He famously used disguises, a beggar, farmer, or cowboy, to infiltrate gangs, once arresting 19 horse thieves in a single mission. Reeves commanded both respect and fear, but was equally renowned for his sense of fairness. Many outlaws chose to surrender without a fight, knowing he was a man who didn't tolerate foolishness. Despite countless gunfights, Reeves was never wounded, and his meticulous evidence collection ensured that he had a 100% conviction rate with no case overturned. Even more fascinating is that many historians argue that Bass Reeves inspired the Lone Ranger archetype and hit TV show.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Freestyle Friday. Woo! Thank God we made it, y'all. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired from a long week, but it's been a productive week, and God is always good. And I'm so happy to be with you at the end of the week. Well, you know, we got to get that check-in, and I want to say good morning to each of you. So let me start with saying good morning to our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we got a check-in from our boy, Terrence. Hey, Terrence, what's going on? Thank you for joining us this morning. I ain't seen Mom's name pop up in a couple of days. Want to make sure she's okay. So please give her my love, okay? Well, we can't go any further without saying good morning to the ladies who work hard to make sure we are up and running. Like I said, we ran into some technical difficulties and they were working at it. So we want to say good morning to our girl, Shantice. Good morning, Shantice. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to say good morning to our girl, Anika. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So, we got a list as always. I didn't get my normal celebrity list that I normally get, because there was no celebrity rundown of any kind this week. But I did come across something that was pretty interesting. And they're talking about the things that were common in restaurants decades ago, but they're no longer there and we're missing them. Well, let's see what's going on. Someone says, as a kid, I remember all the adult meals came with a side salad. And most importantly, those salads came with croutons and a pack of crackers. The croutons and crackers the adults didn't want were my original appetizers. A lot of you may not, kind of know about all of these restaurant bye-byes. But I got to tell you, sitting up here in this part of my life, I do remember that. We got to check in from our girl, Tamika. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, let's see. The first thing that would happen once you were seated in the restaurant is the waitress will come to the table with a glass of water for each diner and then ask everyone for their drink order. You also got a napkin, a knife, a fork, and a spoon. Nowadays, you're lucky to get more than just a fork. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't certain things. We went to a restaurant the other day and it was really nice restaurant, but we didn't have any silverware on the table. It was really weird. So yeah, you normally get that stuff. Wow, let's see. Just the quality and taste of the food was better. Now the food looks and tastes like frozen microwave dinners. Wow. What else? Oh my goodness. Ponderosa. Remember that Shati's Ponderosas? Used to have student nights where you could go to their buffet for under $10. During college, my friend and I used to not eat the entire day, hang out with our good friend Mary, and then eat there. We normally wouldn't even want to eat the next day. Great deal. I do remember Ponderosa. Yes. Hey, Miss Charlene. It's good to see your name pop up on that screen. And we're saying good morning to our girl, Teresa. Good morning, Teresa. We're talking about things that we used to see at a restaurant that we don't see anymore. If you know some of those things, just put them in the chat room. All righty. I missed the 3 silver containers that came to the table that had sour cream in one container, butter in another, and chives in the other. I also missed apple dumplings from Wendy's. I don't know nothing about that. Wow. That's new. That's somebody from Texas. So maybe that's what they were doing out in Texas, but I don't know nothing about that here in New York. I remember going to the A&W drive-thru. They would bring your food out in roller skates, and the root beer was in real glasses. Big ones for adults and little ones for kids. Yeah, I miss that era where, you got your food brought to the car and on roller skates. I remember that on Happy Days, but didn't happen while I was here. All righty. There used to be a completely separate area labeled for truck drivers at truck stop restaurants, and they gave a trucker's discount as well. And they had smoking or non-smoking sections too. This was only in the United States, though Canada never had that. Oh, okay. KFC used to have a buffet. Whoa. It was amazing. Home cooking style country food like beans, biscuits, gravy, and mashed potatoes. Wow, I surely know nothing about that. I miss the way McDonald's restaurants used to be. Many of them were often uniquely decorated to reflect the city in which they were located. When we traveled when I was younger, we would often see a McDonald's that had different decor than any other we had ever been to. And Ronald McDonald and his friends were often a colorful presence. I do remember that. I don't remember the customized decor, But I do remember Ronald McDonald and what was that? The Hamburglar? Yeah, with the mask and yeah, yeah. Mm. It used to be easy to find a nice Chinese style food restaurant that was not a buffet with menu items like flaming poo poo platter, Happy Family, Phoenix, and Dragon, and an extensive drink menu. You would all order one dish apiece, which you could share with your dinner mates. Oh, okay. All right. Let me tell you what I do remember. I do miss. I do miss the authentic Chinese food restaurants. Yeah, everything now is like fast food. And I wasn't allergic to eggs back then, but the fried rice was brown, had scallions and eggs in it, and it was just, you could get the real hot mustard, real soy sauce. You sat down. Yeah, I remember that. That I do. That's one of the things I do miss. Everything now for Chinese food is fast food. You really don't get that authentic Chinese fast food meal. I do miss that. Personally, I miss restaurants with crayons and coloring page menus or other little games for kids. A lot less annoying to see kids busy with those instead of on a tablet without headphones. Makes sense. I gotta say that makes sense. The Little Caesars in Kmart is the only time Little Caesars has been good. It must have been something special in those little kitchens. Okay. If they brought back an old video game that takes 1/4 to play, like Centipede, Asteroids, Defender, or Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, there would be people on that machine all night long. I stopped playing them when they came out with games costing more than 1/4 that only last for a couple of minutes. Let me tell you something. This ain't got nothing to do with no restaurants, because those games were not in restaurants, but that, you could wait to get into some type of store or some establishment that had, like they said, Centipede, Millipede, I can't think of, it's Asteroids, but it was another one, Defender and Miss Pac-Man. Man, you could stay there forever, ever. And you had two man playing, and you could, play against your people. It was fun. It was fun. It was interactive, and it didn't require you to be only at home. Okay. All righty. Let's see. We got some submissions going on here. We got a shout out from our boy Serge. Good morning, Serge. How are you? Tamika says White Castle used to be so inexpensive you could feed your entire family. Now they compete with other restaurants in price. You go broke asking for a number one, the same size meat for much higher prices, and then they have the nerve to ask you if you want cheese with that for an increase in price. It's true. We used to get White Castles for like 15 cents, 10 cents. Yes. And we used to get those whole 30 things. And they used to be like $3, $4, $5 for that. And like Tamika said, they didn't ask you, if you wanted cheese for more money. It was just either the regular slider or a slider with cheese. And we used to go there and rack up. Absolutely, Tamika. I remember that. We got another submission. Let's see. Back in the day, my family used to laugh at me for reaching into my pocketbook and whipping out my own plastic utensils. I was ahead of my time. Yes. And that ain't back in the day. That was like last week. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes. Now people are asking. You're right. You were before your time, because now people are asking in dine-in restaurants. People are asking for their takeout utensils. So yeah, we weren't paying attention to you back then. Parsley was put on plates as a garnish. It's a natural breath cleaner that you can chew on to remove any bad breath or taste from whatever you ate at dinner. I discovered that working in a Chinese restaurant. Pretty cool. Wow. Okay. They used to have kale as just a salad bar decoration. It was not meant to be eaten. That's true. You back in the day, you didn't eat kale. No, they ain't talking about no kale. Instead of bread and butter, restaurants served whisk fried cheese spread in a crock or bowl covered in slivered almonds and an assortment of crackers. Wow. I don't know nothing about that. I would kill for a great salad bar. Buffets in general these days just don't hit the same. Yeah, I don't know. It's the same people who used to do the same thing back in the day, but now, I don't know, I just think with the awareness, we just all jacked up. I miss having real maple syrup at the table. I miss real pepperonis on my pizza. I miss my Burger King beef patty coming fresh off the flame broiler and not from a stainless steel drawer. I miss when Arby's would steam their beef sandwiches. Wow. I miss lunch counters at the department stores. Our dad used to take us girls to J.C. Penney's counter for cocoa after our Saturday morning dance lessons. My mom and I would stop into Ray and Derek, a drugstore, for cherry coke. And when we'd go to the mall with friends, we would go to the counter at McCrory's and get their french fries. They were the best. I remember Woolworth. And Woolworth had the counter, and man, you could get a mean burger. Oh my goodness. And the Coke in a glass, and the glass was shaped a certain way, and it just had like an aura, like an aroma in the Woolworths, and you would just kind of gravitate. Yeah, I remember that. Even as an adult, when I was working, going in Woolworths and eating and enjoying my my meal. So yeah, those were the days, as the bunkers would say. So thank you so much. Well, you know how we do on Friday. I do my little celebrity news, and I do have some stuff today. They did have some celebrity news out there. Well, one of my favorite people, Joey Bad $8 and Soraya, they are possibly engaged. That would be nice for me. I mean, she's cool. She's cool. You know, we did her Kingdom Business series, and Joey, who is my favorite Neek on Raising Canaan. So there we know that they're expecting, as I said a little while ago, maybe about a month or so ago. And they are now thinking, people are thinking, because she's walking around with a big diamond, they say, on her finger. They have not made the official announcement, but there's kind of some chatter from the two of them, little words here and there that indicate that they are actually engaged, possibly, excuse me. Yeah. So they said that in some post she was making, I believe on Instagram, he leaned in and threw in some, he's a rapper, and he threw in some rap from his latest track, that could have dropped a hint that they are engaged. So I'm pretty excited, and I really hope that they stay together. That would be nice. It's nice to see, young black love. It is, and without a bunch of drugging and drinking, and this one ain't cheating, and this one, you ain't putting up in the paper that they not taking care of their kids, and yeah. So I'm really hoping that they really make it somehow. Just a lot of times I think just being in the limelight of Hollywood, it kind of puts a damper on relationships. There's a lot of stuff going on around your head, and I think a lot of them have a real hard time kind of, resisting all of that stuff. Well, for those of you who follow American Idol, I stopped following them years ago when they were no longer just singing. Back in the day when American Idol started, it was just vocals. It was raw vocals. You either could sing or you couldn't. And you were happy to see certain people, be pushed on, going to Hollywood. And after a while, they were allowed to come on with guitars. And I'm sorry, that just wasn't for me anymore. My thing is, I don't need your accompaniment. Let that get to a point where they give you, the music back in. But no, I'm sorry. So for those of you who follow American Idol, you know that Jamal Roberts won. And I think this may have been the individual that Pastor Vinny was talking about and Pastor Brenda were talking about a couple of weeks ago when they were saying that the person was singing just like Christian songs, and there were some people who were complaining. Well, this is American Idol's 23rd season. And one of the reasons why this is coming up is because they're saying he is only the second African-American male who has won American Idol. Now, for those of us back in the day, Ruben Studdard won American Idol. And that was like a sort of ripoff, because I'll never forget, he won, but then the other guy, Clay Evans, got all the attention. Ruben, we did, I went on, did go on some tour dates, and he was very good. Very, very, very good on tour. But they said that Clay Evans got almost just as much, if not more attention than he did. So they're saying that he's the only other, black guy outside of Ruben who did win. And they're saying that in all of American Idol's history, you've only had a handful of people on this side of the fence who have actually won. They said Ruben, Fantasia, which we remember, she won right after him. Jordan Sparks, and you remember her, she's been in movies and all kinds of things. Candace Glover, Just Sam. And Fantasia has been a big thing. And Jordan Sparks got, some notoriety. But I have not seen anything from this Candace Glover or Just Sam. I haven't really heard anything. And I remember there's been a couple of people who didn't win. Now, if you remember our girl Jennifer Hudson, she was in the year that I think Ruben was in, or Fantasia, one of those 2 years. And she was eliminated earlier. But look at the success. So it doesn't mean that just because you did not actually win, you could not get the success. But, congratulations. Congratulations to this Jamal Roberts young man. Haven't seen one episode. I do know that, what's his name? Commodores. Lionel Richie is one of the judges on the reboot. Because remember, they weren't out there for a couple of minutes, American Idol, and then they had the reboot, and Lionel Richie joined the team, and here we go. So, congratulations to you, Mr. Jamal. Well, talk about Raising Canaan, Power Book 3. We are seeing a close. My heart is broken. We'll see a close to this area of the Power Universe franchise. And they're announcing, which if you watched the last episode of this season, Breeze popped up, and that's being portrayed by Shamik Moore. I hope I'm saying his name right. All I know is Breeze. Breeze, where's that name come from? Well, this was the tie-in to the original Power. And from the very first episode of Power, they talked about Breeze, Kanan, and the connection. So now you finally see who Breeze is, and Pops and Snap's nephew, which they are so annoying. But the portrayal is excellent. What's my guy? Wendell Pierce is a part of this Raising Kanan. And I got to tell you, over the years, Wendell Pierce, he has really, first of all, he's an excellent actor, but he has really shown his acting chops in these last few years because his characters have become so diverse. So he and his real life love, the one who plays, I think she's Pops. Is she Snaps? I don't know which one she is. I can't remember which one she is, but they're Snaps and Pops. Pops and Snaps, whichever way you want to look at it. And they are a part of this last couple of seasons in this Raising Kanan. And they're saying that, there's only one more season, 5 seasons, and the person who Sasha is, I thought was a woman, Sasha Penn. I thought was a woman, but no, it's a guy. And they say he always wanted 5 seasons of Raising Kanan. He never wanted more. And we're rapidly approaching the 5 seasons. They're coming back later on in the year. They're actually coming September. And that will be their last season. They had one heck of a cliffhanger for us in this last, this last season. So I'm going to wait till we talk about it on my 2 cents. I'm not going to talk about it no more. But they've introduced this Breeze, played by Mr. Moore, and he's a looker too. He's a looker. And some people know him from what's the other Wu-Tang Clan, they say. He was a part of that crew. Well, we'll see possibly what's going on with him in the 5th season. He's supposed to be working with Kanan, doing the drug thing in Southside Jamaica, Queens. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing what's going on. Now, Salt and Pepper here, yeah, they are now suing the record label because they are trying to get their recordings and their publishing. And now I didn't realize that this was a thing. This was a thing for this industry where they're allowed after a certain time to actually get their music. Yeah. It seems like from some Copyright Act of 1976, it says that after several decades, artists can terminate previous agreements and reclaim ownership of their recordings. So here's what's happening. The amount of time has passed that they can get certain songs. And after another couple of years, then they'll be able to get the rest of their songs. So they've got to wait. And being that all the songs were made at once, they can't get all the music at the same time. So whatever is a part of their earlier music. So let me see. I'm trying to see the songs. All right. So they can get right now, they can fight to get Push It. Now they're fighting because nobody's telling these people that this is their right. So they're just learning this. This music industry is wicked. Well, Push It, because it was made in 1987, they have crossed over the time that they can get Push It, but they want to get Shoot from 1993's recording, but it's not time for Shoot yet. And I think Shoot and What a Man are together. They were on one album, if you will. So they are now fighting the record company, and unfortunately, they've got to fight them incrementally. So now I got to go to court today to fight for Push It, and then another 3-4 years, I got to go back to court to sign for Shoot. It's like, yo, this is just crazy. So, but thank God for that clause in the copyright, law, and they can get something. But if I got to fight for things that are already mine, if I got to fight for things that you already know belong to me, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Let's see what's going on in this chat room, what our viewers have got to say, because this, we're looking at the fall of the music industry. I mean, at a big time. And now you're hearing more and more. I think about all these shows that went into syndication, these comedy shows like Sanford and Son, and all these older shows. And these people knew nothing about Jeffersons, and everybody's still wanting to see these shows, and yet these shows had no clause regarding syndication. So they were paid whatever they were paid, and then now all these people are making money from their shows, and their estates got no money or very little money. It's horrible. Shanti says she liked that Shamik Moore on the Wu-Tang series. I can't wait to see how this series ends. Yeah, I think they're gonna. I'll talk about it. I was getting ready to slip and say I'll talk about it on my 2 cents. Yes, I am too. We got to check in from our Deacon Diallo. Good morning, Deacon Diallo. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. So let's see what we got in the news really quickly. I don't know who's in the room with me so far. If anybody is in the room with me. Oh, we got Pastor Jeff in the room with me. So let me get my news underway. So we've got, people are just out of their minds. So there's an 11-year-old that calls 911 on his mother, in Texas. And we talked the other day about the woman who got angry with the what do you call it? With the friend in the bar or the lounge or wherever where they were drinking, and she set him on fire. Well, this 11-year-old was with his siblings and called 911 on his mother because she set the dogs on fire. So she was saying something about she believed that somebody was the devil, and she started burning the family dogs, plural. And he called 911, and they later got another call while they were en route there to see about this call. And somehow or another, the parents ended up there, and the children ended up going with the parents. And when they went back to the house, I don't know, this is weird. This is not really clear in the article, but when they did go back to the house, they found the dogs burned. The house was on fire and the dogs were burned. They outside of the house, and they said she was talking like all kinds of out of her head. She's yelling, help, help, help. Somebody's trying to kill me. And yet she had killed the dogs. So she is being booked on $400,000. Well, she was booked on $400,000 bond and charged with endangering the children and 2 felony counts of cruelty to animals. And this here, these people need prayer for real, because they are going buck wild out here in these streets. We got another story of another situation. And so when you are disabled and you are claiming disability, remember that. This California woman, police officer, she actually had an incident happen to her at work where she had to go to the emergency room, where she said she had headaches and she was feeling dizzy. And the doctor cleared her to go back to work. But when she went back to work, she then called back and said, she couldn't come to work, over and over and over again. This was a succession of phone calls. Well, they did end up clearing her for a severe concussion syndrome and was placed on total temporary disability. Okay. So they say these officers who received these job-related injuries, they are entitled to a full salary for up to a year in addition to any medical fees. So that's what she ended up going out on. So she ended up claiming more than $600,000 over the time that she's been out. Well, while she's been out, she's been talking about headaches, dizziness, sensitivity to light and noise, problems processing thoughts and words, and an inability to work on the computer or do any kind of screen time. However, while she's been out on disability, they have found that she has been drinking and partying at the Stagecoach Music Festival in April of 2023, despite the loud, crowded environment with temperatures over 100 degrees. They say she was also alleged to have gone to Disneyland, attended 3 AYSO soccer conferences, went snowboarding or skiing in Big Bear and Mammoth, ran 2 5K races, played golf, and took online courses with the university and attended baseball games. Well, not only is she in trouble, but her stepfather is also in trouble because he was the licensed attorney who helped her and claimed that she did not have the ability to do these things, and they're getting him for fraud. So they want their money back. Now, you're going to have to work a long time to get $600,000 back. But the bigger issue is, if found guilty, the stepfather can get 8 years in prison, and she can get up to 22 years in prison. So paying back the money might be a lighter punishment. Listen, y'all, if you're disabled, you're disabled. If you're not, you're not. Stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it, because it's not going to be worth it at the end of the day. It really isn't going to be worth it. You're going to end up paying back a whole lot more than you're going to even want. And you're going to even probably, like I said, you're going to even have like the ability to do it. So let me talk to my men, because I got a question about one of these stories. And let's pull up Pastor Jeff first. While we're saying good morning to Pastor Jeff, Shanti says, These big music moguls are going down. Matthew 20:16. So those who are last in the world shall be first in the world to come, and those who are first shall be last. Tamika says, "Oh, don't these people know that they're being watched? By the time Big Sur has a way with her, she really will be disabled." Yeah, because baby, if she's going down and she's going to jail, they're gonna let them know she's a police officer. So it ain't gonna be nice for her. Good morning, Pastor Jeff.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good, good, good. Thank you so much for joining us. So listen, are you into Power? Canaan, Raising Canaan?
Yeah, I watch it.
So what do you think about this being their last season? Are you ready for it to end?
Nah, it was pretty interesting. I hate that it's going to end, but it is what it is. Everything has to come to a close, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, did you see the end? Did you see the last part of season 4?
Is that this last season?
This one, yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna watch it today.
Yo, you gotta watch it. I want to ask you something about it. So, you gotta catch up, Pastor Jeff. You gotta catch.
Well, I mean, I just didn't the show come out today for the last one. It comes out on Friday.
No. Last week
Oh,
was
I
the
saw
last
last week.
episode. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you finished it
That was the finish.
for the season.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. They gave us a little cliffhanger. What do you think about this the way it ended? You got Breeze now being introduced. So now that's the connection to Tommy and Ghost from Power. Did you recognize the name?
Yeah, I recognized it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess I wasn't watching it closely then. Because a lot of times I watch these shows and I'll be doing so much other stuff. I'm happy to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, man. You got to be on that. You got to be on that. Yeah. Snaps and Pops. That's his. That this is the introduction to Breeze. That's their nephew. So they brought him to meet Canaan because now they trying to up.
Yeah.
Canaan's
Okay.
game.
I remember that part. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I got you.
Right. They were on the Coliseum block.
Yeah.
Yes. So now there's this introduction to Bree. So now there's the connection to Tommy and Ghost. So now they're thinking that maybe we'll see Tommy and Ghost's kids, presence now that Breeze has been introduced. So maybe they'll take that out in season 5, and that's the way we'll go out. He's got a gun on his mother. Do you think they're gonna allow him to kill the mother?
That's the thing. It seemed like 50 let with the other one he let the boy kill his father, and now are you gonna let this guy kill his mother? I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah.
That kind of bothered me. And then it's bothering me. You really let this man kill his mother, and she didn't even do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You didn't even give her a chance.
Right. Because he's all twisted up.
Yeah. You let these folks manipulate you like that?
Right. These outside people. But you know what, Pastor Jeff, and I want to talk about this a little bit, and I'm going to talk about this with the guys, with all of you guys today. The manipulation from the outside forces, and I'm going to leave you there right now. I want to pull in Brother Ainsley, talk to him a little bit, but I want you to let that marinate a little bit, because you walked right into where I want to go today. This manipulation. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm coming back, so think about what we're talking about. Let's talk to Brother Ainsley. Hey, good morning, Brother Ains.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Pastor Steph. Good morning, Pastor Jeff. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Brother
Good
Ains?
morning.
Doing all right.
Good morning.
I'm all right. It's bright and early Friday
Okay.
morning.
Well, glad to have you on. Glad to have you
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So we're talking
Always
about
glad.
the cliffhanger and Power Book 3 Canaan. Please tell me you saw this.
No, I haven't watched these last few
Play.
episodes of it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm behind on that. Yeah, I'm behind.
Oh
I know.
man.
I know.
Because
I
I know
know.
I
Bad
can't talk to
Ainsley.
Pastor
Bad.
KL about it. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't talk to Pastor KL because he all twisted. He
yeah.
don't
We
even
know
watch.
that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he don't even watch
I wish I had
that.
a heads
So
up.
now
Better watch.
I gotta figure out how I'm gonna take this because this is exactly where I wanted to go. Because I just knew you watched it, and I did remember Pastor Jeff saying that he was a Power Book fan. So was hoping that he was, and he's up on it. So I don't know, but there's an introduction of one of the older characters from Power that we never saw, of course, because this was back in the day for
Right,
Tommy,
right.
Ghost, and Kanan. The mention
That
of
sounds
Breeze.
interesting.
Yeah, it
That
is.
sounds really
It was a very brief introduction, very brief introduction, but an introduction nonetheless. And like I said earlier, I heard the name Breeze. I'm like, where's that name? But I, for some reason, thought that the name was within Canaan. And it was my daughter, one of my other daughters, who mentioned Power. And I was like, right. That's the Breeze that Power, that Ghost and Tommy and Kanan talked about in the because
Yeah,
remember
you
they
know,
talked about killing him.
from the very beginning, I always want to know when that was gonna bring them in, because they got to connect at some
Right,
point in time,
right,
and they got some
right,
history. So I was like, okay.
right,
'Kay, after the first
right.
couple of seasons, I'm like, they ain't crossed paths yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, finally, here we are.
all right.
They are. He is Snaps and Pop's nephew, and I can't remember which one is Snaps and which one is Pop's. I always get them two mixed up because they're annoying. They are so annoying,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
her. She gets on my ever loving nerve. But she's technically he's her nephew, but being that they're a couple days, they say their nephew. But it's an interesting angle to bring in on right before they're about to shut this whole thing down, because the fifth season
wow.
is the last season.
Okay.
Are you ready for it to end? I asked Pastor Jeff that. Are you ready for it to end?
Well, since I missed most of this last episode, I really don't know how it was going. So if it was really good, no, I ain't ready to see it go. But if it's really good, you really into
Okay.
it. You want to see and it seems feasible that they can continue with a good storyline. You want to
Yeah.
see it keep on going. But as Pastor Jeff
Okay.
said, all things must come to an end at some point.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I do notice, guys, is they're trying to end the show before the show ends itself. They're
Oh
trying
yeah,
to,
okay.
in other words, they don't want it
Up.
to right.
Yeah.
While it's on its high note, they're trying to end the shows before we get to the point where it's like, okay, all right, y'all dead. Ain't nothing else left to talk about. All the good stuff is
Right.
gone. So, Power ended at 6 seasons. The other one ended at 4 seasons with Tyreek. That was the 4th season. They ended
Yeah.
that. And now they're ending this one at 5 seasons. So they're trying to keep it on a high note. And, I can appreciate it.
I want them to resurrect Ghost.
That's me too, Pastor Jeff.
Because
Me too.
that was the best. It has none
Yes.
of them has compared to
Yeah.
that.
Nope.
I
I'm
brother.
with you.
Okay.
I do too.
But
I
how
do
could
too.
you feasibly put that in, though? Man, we see them all in the coffin, man. So it's like,
No, they never showed him in the coffin. They just showed the coffin, remember?
oh, that's true too.
They never showed him. So, and I think they did that strategically, so you can't say
Yeah.
that Ghost was dead. So I'm with you, Pastor Jeff.
When they brought his son in as the dude, he don't even look the profile. Don't fit the profile. He don't even look hard. He don't look smooth.
Right.
Not even a ladies' man.
No, it's true.
Had it all.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Too.
very
Yeah.
true. It's very true. He did not match up to his father. And here's one of the things that I enjoyed about the writing. I enjoyed the fact that they did not try to make him like his father. They kept him in his place. Because if they tried to make him a ghost, that would have been a dead issue right there.
Yeah, he's a teenager. I mean,
Jeff.
come on.
Right. But even as a teenager, it seems like Ghost would have been more savvy.
Yeah.
Street savvy, than Tyreek was. Shantice always says that they cheated Tyreek and Raina out of the street cred, out of the street knowledge. They were not street kids. For Tasha and Ghost to be street people, they didn't do nothing for their kids. They definitely did not teach them the street.
Well,
so go figure.
That's like a little bit. They had a little bit of skill, a little bit.
That's
Rank didn't walking up on the guy. Okay,
my kids don't know nothing how how I had to come up.
Yeah, well, I can appreciate it. They wanted them right. They wanted them to have a life where stupid Tyreek ended up resenting it and getting into it anyway, and Tasha training him to do it. So it's a real tricky situation. Pastor Jeff, we got to have you on one of our episodes of what is that? My 2 cents, so we can talk about this thing. So Shartice is over here typing like crazy. Let's see. Tamika says Rock didn't even fight. She just stood there with her eyes closed. I screamed at the TV. Me too. I was like, yeah, don't say nothing. But you know what? She's the G she is, if you will. She ain't, she's like, listen, if my own son want to do this, then let him do it. Shanti says, yes, bring back Ghost. They can't just come back with Ghost surprising Tariq. Yes, that's why the Tyreek series worked. If Joey can come back, so can Ghost. Yeah. Unique came back. He could come back too. I'm up on this show. Neither of them had street knowledge, and at least try to give your kids some common sense. So we'll see. Wow. All right. Let's talk to Pastor KL and say good morning to him at least. That's what he gets for not watching TV with us.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand when this became a My 2 Cents episode. I don't have 2 cents for it. I'm trying to understand that. And then Pastor Jeff just fell in it. He got sucked up in it. He just fell up in it. You know what I mean? You've been hoodwinked, sir. Now they need another member on My 2 Cents. The devil is like, I don't have no sense.
We just bringing him in for the Powers Universe conversation. He's gonna add some conversation to that, but I was actually gonna take it somewhere. And like I said, Pastor Jeff ended up walking in it, but I do have a topic for you guys that is somewhat similar to this, by the way. And let me get it together here so we can chat about it. I came across something last night and talked about gold diggers. And I wanted to talk to you guys about gold diggers. And, Pastor Jeff and Pastor KL, we know that they've got some former lives. They talk about it all the time. Now, Brother Ainsley, I don't know.
He got some too. He got some too. He's one of those quiet ones. See, Pastor Jeff and Pastor KL, they're gonna talk. Brother Ainsley, he gonna lay back in the cut. Listen,
show, man. What's up with that, bro?
Ainsley got the hidden books.
It's all right. We'll let you tell your story at your pace, Ainsley. We'll let you tell your story.
All right.
By the time Pastor Jeff and Pastor KL finish, we ain't gonna have nothing to wonder about. They tell it all. We enjoy their stories. So there's some signs that they say you could tell that she's a gold digger. Now, hello. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm trying to see my flags and I'm frozen here. You're gonna have to give me some All right, so while I'm doing this, let me just get an idea as to whether you've ever dealt with a gold digger. And do not go into any real details because we're going to talk about that here. I'm going to start with you, Brother Ainsley. We're going to take it on a lighter note and start with you.
All right, gold digger. All right. Yeah, I guess I met a couple, but it didn't go too far because I ain't had no money to give out like that. You know. I mean, one time I dated somebody. We were supposed to be hot and heavy for about a week. You know, and then as soon as she asked me to pay her rent, I'm like, oh. Relationship over. So I act like I didn't hear her, right? Oh, then I guess you got the hint. So then it was like, well, can you pay my telephone bill? This was back in the day because we didn't have cell phones. You had to actually call somebody.
Right.
It asked me, can I pay a telephone bill? So I was like, oh yeah, that's a confirmation. This relationship is over. I said, well, here you go. That was that. That was the end of that. So
wait, so you paid the phone bill and walked off?
Yeah, I gave it to her. And I was like, that was it.
Oh, okay.
I looked at it like, okay.
Why'd you give it to her?
Because I was like, thank you for last night.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. All righty.
Yeah, that was it, honestly. That was
it. Okay.
And it happened once the other time, where they asked me for money for but it was like so short into it ain't like we've been dating for a while. It was like within a few days, and you asking for this kind of stuff, So I was like, oh no, I ain't the one.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
My name is Harris. It ain't Rockefeller. So no.
Okay. All right, Pastor KL. Brother Ainsley says within a couple of days, he could see that she was a gold digger. And what about you? Have you ever, no details, ever experienced?
I knew a few gold diggers. I never had any. I was the gold digger. You know what I mean? I was the gold digger. So I recognize gold diggers. So we can't dig in the same place. You know what I mean? There ain't that much gold
there. Okay. Pastor Jeff,
yes,
did you ever come across a gold digger?
I've come across quite a few, but they always end up falling for my game in the end.
There is no modesty to you and Pastor KL.
They always fell in love. They started out trying to get a brother for his paper, but then when I ran my game, you know what I'm saying?
I hate you too. I'm so
hey, they started out for the paper, and then Pastor Jeff put them on paper.
They said my wife was a gold digger when I met her.
Really?
See what happened to her?
No, she wasn't.
My bad.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we got some signs that they say that she's a gold digger. And one of the things is they say she surrounds herself with gold digger friends. Brother Ainsley, do you agree?
Oh yeah. What's it saying? Birds flock together, they flock together, of course. Because how who's not gonna be a gold digger and hang around with one who is? So yeah, I see that very much feasible. Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Pastor Jeff, gold diggers hang around gold diggers. Is that true?
You said my name?
Pastor Jeff, yes.
Oh, okay. Because your thing
I'm sorry.
cut out.
I'm sorry. Pastor Gold Digger.
I was never a gold digger. That just wasn't me. I wasn't gonna take women for their money. I would take it for something else.
Okay.
Oh God! Here we go. Buckle up.
Listen, I just said something else. It's a family show, right?
Hey,
I didn't think I crossed the line.
just don't go in the closet.
That something else could have been anything. But I was the one that I used to like to spend my money on women for a little while because I loved the whole romance thing, the whole game. And then once I got bored, I was out, and they would be hooked. And that's why they used to try to cut my tires and break my windows and do all kind of crazy stuff to me because they would fall in love, but I guess I loved the love. I loved the whole game. I loved the taking somebody, from A to Z in their emotions, and I was wrong for that, So I would meet these gold diggers. They would start out, and I wouldn't mind getting their hair done and their nails done, taking them on trips for a while and acting like I was in love. Then I got bored. I bounced.
Wow. Okay. All righty. Let me see some of these comments up in here. Wait. I think I'm missing comments on some of these things here. Hold on. I think I'm missing. Yeah, I'm missing comments on my end. It says that's crazy. When I was growing up, I never was asked for anything. It was all for giving me. Okay. Real recognize real. Okay. This is all from Terrence. Yes, Pastor, you're right. Okay. So, Pastor Jeff, do gold diggers hang out with gold diggers?
I didn't see that much. They usually have followers. Their little crew was their follower. And they was the main one, to really try to be the gold digger. They usually stood out. They usually was the star of their crew. So I didn't see them flocking together.
Okay. Pastor KL, we're talking about the gold diggers hang with gold diggers. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, we all church folks. Y'all never seen a spiritual gold digger convention? They in church, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
They in church. I mean, the gold diggers, they not on the street. They in church. You know what I mean? Especially the one who counts the tithes, to know how much money you make, how much 10% you bring it in. Yeah, man, it's a setup. It's a setup. Listen, Deacon Flores know about what this man is making, and then she goes and tells sister so and so, and they plot to see who gonna get him first.
I forgot about the church.
In the church.
Wow.
The gold, they are digging gold in them churches.
Okay. What did you say about the church, Pastor Jeff?
I was totally coming from the streets. I forgot about the church.
Okay. All righty.
Pastor KL, he was gold digging in church. That was a shame. You taking those ushers and everything for their money, man.
Hey, they was bringing me to my seat.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right. They say a gold digger values expensive gifts over sentimental ones. Pastor KL.
I don't even believe that. Gold diggers, their whole mission is to get your money, no matter what it is. Just like Jeff was saying that he was looking for other things. That was the prize. You could have been ugly, you could have been fat, you could have been crippled, but the prize that we're looking for is a specific thing. What they're looking for is just money. It don't have to be rubies and diamonds. Just give me money. You ever seen a crackhead go there? You know what I mean? Just give me $20. You know what I'm saying? Just give me $15. They just want the money.
Okay. Ainsley.
Yeah, I don't think it's just money. Just sometimes, they after the material things. Like I know of somebody. She just like that. She wanted the Louis Vuitton bag, the Coach bag. She was into bags. Designer can't afford a doggone thing. First of all, but want these materialist things. I mean, will go hard at people she's dating at the same time for these things. You know what I'm saying? So that's not necessarily love. I'm thinking that they want the money. If they can't get the money, at least because they want to get the money. She wanted the money to get the bag. So if he can buy us the bag, that simplify the process. So I don't think it's not time. It's not just the money. It's the thing, the material things too, as well.
Well, it says she values expensive gifts over sentimental ones. So you're walking right into that. You're walking right into it.
Ain't nothing sentimental about a gold digger.
Okay. All righty. Pastor Jeff, do you agree with that? She values expensive gifts over sentimental ones.
It depends on whether the gold digger is from the hood or she from, Hollywood. You understand what I'm saying? So it was the mentality of the gold digger, because some of them don't even know what expensive gifts are. Because I would buy certain things for some of them, and they, oh wow, blow their mind, and it didn't even cost nothing. Cause they listen to their ghetto girlfriends, and you go digging for imitation. You know what I'm saying? So
wow.
It depends on where they're from. If they
Jeff, that makes a lot of sense, because I mean, even in the church, you got hood or you got quality. Communion time, the hood don't care if you get a bunch of grape juice. You know what I mean? But the quality want the wine. You know what I mean? So yeah, it depends on who you are.
All righty. They say she only wants to hang out in fancy places. That's the gold digger. Pastor Jeff.
That same thing. It depends on their mentality. Because for some of them, McDonald's might be fancy.
Wow. And you a gold digger?
Because they don't know what, you gotta understand. They don't know what to dig for. They don't know the difference between fool's gold and real gold. And one example, when I met my wife, I had a $12,000 fur coat that I had bought from another chick that I took back, right? And I offered it to my wife, and she was my girlfriend at the time, and she rejected it because she's from California, San Francisco, and she never had a fur coat. So then I ended up selling that coat, and now the other day she said to me, I wish I'd have kept that coat. I said it was expensive. It was a mint. It cost me $12,000 in that day. And I said, you just let it go. And she realized now that she knows about stuff that she lost the opportunity, because she was from Cali, and it was always warm, and they didn't wear no fur coat.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Pastor KL, she only wants to hang out in fancy places.
First of all, $12,000 coat for a girlfriend, you found a gold digger. Gold digger. Gold digger.
At that time, I was at that level of balling that it didn't mean that much,
Man. Ooh. Yeah, but to answer your question, no, they'll go anywhere. I mean, when you get upgraded from a Happy Meal to a Big Mac meal, that's great. It depends on how you've been living all your life. And I'm telling you, if you find someone who don't really know much, but in their mind they think they winning, you listen, a crackhead still think they look good,
Yeah.
You can't tell a crackhead she don't look good. I mean, she thinks she's gorgeous. You know what I mean? And she thinks that she can make the kind of money that she can make because of who she is. So some people are just delusional.
Okay. Brother Ainsley, she only wants to hang out in fancy places. These two have just struck that down.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the people who want to stay in high, they're just being bougie. Gold digger is just glad to get something from anywhere. You know, like for example, like I'm in Georgia, so like the equivalent of a White Castle in New York is called Crystals down here. And I've seen people, I go to Crystals. Like, you know,
The worst
it's like to
place.
me, it's a White Castle, man. You know, but
Okay.
you know, but
to them, they're getting something.
Getting something, yeah. But bougie is the one like you just want to be in, like, you know, your more higher end restaurant. But gold digger it come on all levels and facets. It's a range.
Wow. Okay. That's the first time I've heard that. They say she's overly curious about your income, Pastor KL.
Oh yeah. First of all, let me say, Pastor Steph, you couldn't be a gold digger. You just don't even fit the criteria. These questions that you're asking, the way you're surprised at these answers, you're not the gold digger type. God bless you. God bless you. You know what I mean? you would never get money from me.
Well, thank you, Lord. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay.
Now, I'm sorry. What was the question? I digress.
It says she's overly curious about your income.
Yeah, she want to know how much you make, and always, don't you get paid today? You get paid tomorrow? You know, I was looking at something. You know, my light's about to go out. Well, baby, if your light's about to go out, you way behind. Because lights just don't go out on one bill. You know what I mean? If your light's about to go out, you 2 bills behind. I'm sorry. I'll buy you some candles.
Wow. Okay. Brother Ainsley, she's overly curious about your income.
Yeah, we said that, Brother Ron, or something. Somebody clocking like when I got paid, want to know how much I got paid, and, you know, plus my side income, or when I did a gig somewhere, how much money you get paid for that? You know, after a while, it sounds like it just inquisitive, but after a while you realize there's some scheming going on and stuff like that. And when you constantly hear that, it's like, okay, I see what's up. Why? Who really does that? You try to, like, all of a sudden, my money. I ain't talking about, you know, your marriage or your girlfriend. Somebody who is really just starting to date. How come my money all of a sudden is part of your money? No.
Wow. All right, Pastor Jeff. She's overly curious about your money. Is that true?
Yeah. I would say that is true. A true gold digger, she does her investigative, services, and, looks into try to find out where your paper is coming from. Because she want to know how much she can take.
Oh God.
Okay. She never offers to pay for anything. Brother Ainsley, is that true? She never offers for anything.
No, I don't think so. They may try to they might get you a hot dog, but next time when it's your time, you got to go to the high end steakhouse and stuff like that. You know, so I don't think necessarily, but they're not gonna kick out much, because as a man, you got to pay for everything. Okay. So be happy for this little hot dog they'll get you.
Okay, all right, Pastor Jeff. She never pays for anything. She never offers to pay for anything.
Yeah, most of them, because they didn't really know how to play the game. That's how they would play it. Never offer to pay for nothing. Always got their hand out. But the true gold diggers that know how to play the game for the big paper, they'll pick and choose, what they'll pay for, just to try to appear not to be a gold digger, And I used to love watching that, and those are the ones that I like, because I don't like dumb gold diggers. I need you to be, a little savvy.
Oh, bro, you gotta go crazy,
my
man.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Gold
Pastor KL.
nuggets for dummies.
Oh my God. Oh, Brother Al is joining the crew. All right. Pastor KL. Gold diggers never offer to pay for anything.
I don't think that's called a gold digger. I think that's called a wife. I think that's called a wife.
Oh my goodness.
I think that's the story's mixed up. A wife ain't paying for nothing. That's called a wife.
Oh my goodness.
My wife don't mind paying with my money.
Right. Give me a card, baby. How much tip we gonna leave? Y'all ever heard that? How much tip we gonna leave?
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. All right. Good morning, Brother Al. Let's get him in the room. Wait, hold on. Let's get him in the room. Oh, there you go. Good morning, Brother Al.
Top of the morning, top of the morning, top of the Friday morning. Oh, yeah.
We're talking about the gold diggers this morning and signs that you are involved with the gold digger. And one of the signs, she's always in a financial crisis. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. Every time it's time to pay, or you ain't got it, or you got to call your cousin and them. Oh, yeah. That's the gold digger. She got the shovel in her pocket.
Wow. Okay. Pastor Jeff, she's always in a financial crisis. Is that true? What happened to Pastor Jeff? I think we lost Pastor Jeff. All right, we gotta wait till he comes back. Yeah, we lost Pastor Jeff. Brother Ainsley, she's always in a financial crisis.
Yeah, that's true. That's why she's trying to go dig. Always, yeah. She can't handle her money right, Instead of, trying to go for those big things, for that Coach bag, and you can't pay your rent. The priorities all mixed up. So, yeah, no question about it. I think so.
Okay. Pastor KL, she's always in a financial crisis.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Brother Ainsley. Her priority is totally shot. She rather spend the rent money, rather spend, the phone bill money, because she thinks that she's gonna get it back from the sugar daddy. So yeah, that's a problem.
Wow. Okay, let's see here. She's not ambitious. She's not ambitious, Brother Al. That's a sign of a gold digger. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. What's she going to be ambitious for? She ambitious to get the money from you. Yeah, definitely. She ain't thinking of nothing else. I need to get this or whatever. I'll get it from Pastor KL.
All righty. Pastor Jeff, they say that she is not ambitious at all. That's the sign that she's a gold digger. Would you agree?
I think the fact that she's a gold digger, she's ambitious. Because I respect that. She trying to come up. She wants a new lot in life. That's ambition.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Pastor KL says she's not ambitious.
I'm in agreement with Pastor Jeff. That's her job. So she is ambitious. Being that I was on the other side of this coin here, it takes a lot to be a gold digger. You know what I mean? Because you don't want rejection, so you got to make sure that your pitch is pretty good to get this money. So yeah, that's a job by itself. Just like the shoplifters get up and go shoplifting, that's their job. A gold digger, that's your job, because your pitch and your line depends on whether your lights are going out or not.
Okay. Brother Ainsley, would you agree with the guys, or would you agree that she's not ambitious at all?
Oh, she is ambitious, of course, man. Of course, I agree with my brothers. That's the job, and they got to do it well. You got to get experience, and once you keep doing things over and over again, you figure out a way how to do it. Better way how to go dig on somebody and stuff like that. And so what didn't work for one person, you know how to sharpen your skills up and go after the next person. As a matter of fact, remember the person I said, first she asked me for her rent, and then next thing she wanted to ask me for the telephone bill. It just what happens, all right. Another musician guy ran into her, all right, and he mentioned I never forget. He mentioned, oh yeah, it's been long. I'll tell her name. Oh, Sharon Fields, she's very ambitious. I remember. Oh yeah, I guess she asked you to pay your rent, right? So already I told him,
wow,
yeah, that's her job. You know what I'm saying? He was like, oh yeah,
wow.
I said, I know the game. But I say she didn't do that with me, so she ambitious. She's trying to, work her skills so she can figure out what she can say to get somebody to pay her rent.
Okay. They say she's overly curious about your family background. Brother Al.
Wow, over curious about your family background. Yeah, I would say yeah, because she want to know, okay, well, how your people getting down? How you deal with your people? How your people getting down? So if you stupid enough to say, yeah, well, my brother, he loves taking care of the women, and he does, and my cousin, he take care of the women. She's like, thank you very much for that information.
Okay. Pastor KL. She's overly curious about your family background.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I agree for a whole different reason. First of all, I need to know how close you are with your family. What kind of family knit you guys got. Because a lot of times your family from the outside sees what's going on the inside that you can't see. And they might peep you to the game that you're just taking your money. But if you ain't got no connection to your family at all and you don't like them, then I got you. I'm taking all your money. You ain't got to listen to your daddy. You ain't got to listen to your mama. I'm the one in your corner.
Wow. Okay. Pastor Jeff, she's overly curious about your family background.
Yeah, coming up, a lot of those church girls, they was because of my grandfather was who he was, and the big preacher with money, driving the big car and living in a big house and all that. They was trying to, look into that to set themselves up long term. And I noticed a lot of these little girls on my son trying to do the same thing, I warn them about that because they always asking questions about his daddy, and his mommy, and what's going on. And I told them, don't be answering no questions, man. These chicks are gonna try to set you up. Try to have babies, and I told him I ain't taking care of none of them babies. You know what I'm saying?
All righty, woo! Oh, Brother Ainsley, she's overly curious about your family background.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with my brothers. Like you want to know, like if anybody in your family could possibly peep game. Like you got a sister, particularly other woman who can peep. Okay. Who know the know the game and can peep them out and stuff like that. Because like they got to know all angles. What are they working with? What's the mentality? What's the whole picture and stuff like that. So most definitely, that's important information. So yeah.
All right. Okay. She becomes agitated when you say no. Pastor Jeff.
I guess I'm like I'm saying, I didn't say no too much. When my no's came, I was out. So I really don't know.
Okay. Brother Al. She becomes agitated when you say no. That's how you know she's a gold digger. True?
Oh yeah, you can't take no for an answer. I want to get these $100 shoes. Oh no, baby, not today. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I don't call you. Oh yeah, she getting agitated.
Okay. Brother Ainsley.
Yeah, I never really had experienced that because once I was like Pastor no, like you ask me something crazy, I'm like, that's in a relationship. That's it right there. But you see a lot of times, online, these women, they're like, oh, yo, you tell me no, I can't buy me these shoes, and you go to the mall, they want to spend $3,000 and stuff like that, and they don't have no money themselves, but you want you to spend all this money and stuff like that, and then the moment you question anything, then they get mad. I mean, but if you got your own bank, just pay for your own stuff. But I mean, like really get upset and stuff like that. So most definitely, yeah. Because that
Okay,
means
okay.
they're not succeeding. They mad because they spent this time, the time and effort they spent up until that point, ain't getting on what they really want. They're not meeting the goals. So they upset. They mad. Yeah,
Okay.
you see it all the time on
Okay.
social
Okay.
media, unfortunately. Hmm.
It's true. I do see it. Pastor KL, she becomes agitated when you say no. Is that true?
But I don't know that they can't become agitated. I guess in hindsight they do because they leave me because I say no often. You know what I mean? I don't say yes to anything. You come to me and tell me you want some red bottoms. Alabama is full of red clay. Take your shoes and walk on the dirt. You got your red bottoms. I'm not buying no red bottoms. I ain't buying red bottoms. I ain't buying green bottoms. In fact, my father used to tell me, be careful, because the shoes you buy, those are the shoes you're gonna walk out your life in. So I took that. So I don't buy you with no clothes because you might walk out my life. To be honest with you, I haven't bought a woman anything that wasn't my wife.
Mm.
You
Okay.
had to
Wow.
be my wife.
It's funny because that's what we're told. We're told don't buy no man no shoes because that's the shoes he gonna walk out with you on. Don't buy a man clothes because he gonna look good in front of the next woman with your clothes on. So we get the same kind of advice on this end. All right. They say she's very jealous. Is that true, brother Al?
No, I would say not necessary because there's some girls who are not, a gold digger and super jealous. So I would disagree with that one.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, brother Ainsley. She's very jealous. Is that true?
I don't know. I would say maybe not. If a game is tight, well, she don't want no competition at the same time. So uh, I don't know. That would qualify as jealousy. She because game recognize game. So if you recognize somebody else going after the same thing after your target, that's a problem. So is that jealousy or that competition?
Okay,
So uh,
okay, okay,
maybe not.
okay, okay. What say you, Pastor Jeff?
I wouldn't say she was jealous. She just guarded because she don't want nobody else getting the paper that she should be getting. So I wouldn't call that jealousy. She
Okay,
just
okay,
guarding her steak.
okay, okay, okay. Pastor KL?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's jealous. I just say that's human behavior. I mean, because both men and women, got problems with that. And sometimes you gotta spray your territory. You know what I mean? And as the fellas say, you just don't want nobody near. I don't know that because I'm jealous. It's just because I'm protecting what's mine.
Okay, okay, okay. Brother Al, what would you just say to everybody about gold diggers? What's the piece of advice you want to leave people with today about gold diggers? Talk to the women. Talk to the women. Talk to the women.
Okay. So you said talk to them about the men being the gold digger or they being the gold digger.
About them being the gold digger.
Oh, okay. It's gonna come back to you. Definitely. You can do all this and you think you're having fun and you get this person and taking money. First of all, it's wrong. It's not right, and it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back to haunt you. Just work and get your own money. Don't rely on somebody. Cause now when with it backfiring, you saying, okay, I'm getting this money from this guy. I'm getting this, but he gonna want something in return. He gonna feel that he owns you. So I would say this: don't do it.
Okay. Talk to the guys. Talk to the guys who are dealing with, or who could potentially deal with a gold digging woman.
I would say leave. Get rid of her. Period. Because it's not gonna end well for you. Very simple. Get rid of her. She got that gone.
Okay. All right. Oh, Brother Ainsley, talk to the men about dealing with a gold digging woman.
Go. I like my brother Al. Go. Because as soon as the moment, if you even entertain that, as soon as if your money dry up a little bit or slow down and stuff like that, there she go and whatnot. So really, then you realize the person is really not into you, but what you can provide for them. Is that the real kind of relationship? Anybody who you really want in your corner? Not really in your corner. It's only until they find bigger paper or yours run out and stuff like that, and it's not really for you. So the best thing is just leave that alone and keep it moving.
Okay. Talk to the gold digging woman.
All right, for those women who's doing this and stuff like that, and you see so much of it, like a brother Al said, when you do put yourself in that kind of a situation and guys do that, they want something in return. And it's like, you really don't want to go that way. And the thing is, the amount of time and effort you're doing this, you could do that, you use that energy to better prepare, better yourself, so you can get your own paper, so you can do better for yourself, and get your own life together, so you don't have to do that. Everybody's struggling, so it's start for somewhere. But the amount of time and energy that all that scheming they doing, you could do it for your own betterment. You don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. It may seem like easy, but it's not worth it, because all our time and effort you could have, and the benefit of taking care of yourself first, there's a long-term benefit from that. You doing this, scheming, it's going to end eventually. Then you got to start all over again and all over again. So you might as well, it's like an investment in yourself. Invest that time and energy in yourself, and that's just the best way to go. Don't do it.
Okay. All righty. Pastor Jeff, talk to the gold digging woman.
Well, listen, women, you gold digging woman, you you better realize that you reap what you sow. And all the gold digging women that I've known, they ended up with nothing. They got fool's gold. Okay? So, let your intentions be correct and stop trying to focus on filthy lucre and get what God has for you.
Okay. Pastor Jeff, talk to the woman about a gold digging man.
Oh yeah, well, women, you got to know. Most of these men out here, they're not trying to marry, and and if you look like you got something, then you better really look into that, because they're gonna get your paper and you're gonna end up with nothing, or your whole lifetime worth of work. He gonna own that house. He gonna have your paper, and he gonna be driving your car. So y'all stop letting your need and your loneliness get you played and being a simp.
Okay. And lastly, talk to the man about a potential gold digging woman coming his way.
Yeah, brothers, listen. No, to thy own self be true. You ain't got it like that, and she on a whole nother level. You got to know she probably coming for your paper. And unless you willing to pay for it, the rest of your life, all right, refocus. Stay on your level and get something on your level that won't play you. Because in the end, she'll walk away with all your cash or half of it because she played you.
All righty. You guys are giving some good stuff here, I gotta say. All right, Pastor KL, Talk to the gold digging woman.
Well, first of all, I would say it's not worth it. I mean, I think Brother Andy said it best. The amount of time that you got to punch this clock. It's almost like you working on commission, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get any money from it. So here you are working and working and working and scheming and scheming and scheming. And how many people do you have to come up with before you get your goal, before you get your rent? You know what I mean? Is it, can you do it with that one guy, or is it multiple guys? And then what are you giving in return to get that 1 month's rent? Is it worth your body? Is it worth your mentality? Is it worth your spiritual being? I think not.
Wow. All righty. Talk to the man who has a potential gold digging woman coming his way.
Well, one of the biggest things, quotes, I like to say is, just because you have it does not mean you can afford it. A lot of times we have things that we cannot afford. Love shouldn't cost that much. And here you are for one reason, thinking that this is going to be something, and she just wants your money. And you knew from the beginning when she said, let's go to Red Lobster, and you're used to McDonald's, that you couldn't keep this up. And after a while, she's not going to want to stay there anymore, because she knows that you can't upkeep the beauty. So step away.
And speak to the gold digging man, the one who's out here trying to get the gold, from someone else.
Well, from a gold digger, a past gold digger, it's a dangerous position. It really, really is. Because a scorned woman, oh my God, they'll send your mail to another address. This is what I know from experience. This ain't something I heard. This is something I know from experience. You do not want to piss off the wrong, and let me say this, black woman. When a black woman thinks that she's into this thing for love, she's got to do everything that she can do to make sure this thing right. But when she realized that you were just trying to get her, oh baby, the love is gone. She gonna get you back. I'm still missing checks.
Man, you have surely taken us into a thought-provoking weekend. Thank you so much for your contribution today, and we pray you have a blessed weekend. Thank you so much.
Y'all take care. Enjoy your weekend.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Woo! I always like when we can get the advice from these individuals who have done it. And one of the things that I did enjoy hearing today was Pastor Jeff say that he used to do it, but it wasn't right. And I'm going to come back to that. All right. We've got our benediction. Finally, brothers, rejoice, aim for restoration, comfort one another, agree with one another, live in peace, and the love of the God of love and peace will be with you. 2 Corinthians 13:11. Shanti says, my mother used to threaten me, saying, you better not accept anything from my boyfriends. All righty. Well, here's the thing. I wanted to elaborate on what I said about when Pastor Jeff said, hey, it wasn't right, because there's a lot of talk about my former life here on this due time. I got to say, this is one transparent group of people. They do not have a problem sharing, where God has brought them from and where God is taking them to and where God has brought them to. They talk a lot about, what they've done, and, sometimes it could be taken as them gloating. But when it's said, and Pastor KL has said it before, Brother Al has said it before, that's not what, that's not, that I know better now. That wasn't right when I did it, because, we have to make sure we let you know that we're aware that God has taken us from, brought us to. And sometimes when you think about some of the stuff, you've been, whoa, goodness gracious. And, for someone else, it could be worse. They could have done something worse, if you will. And for someone else, it's like, whoo, they did that much. I always caution you to remember that God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And keep in mind that sin is sin to God. We are on a gradation system of, well, at least I didn't. And at least I'm not as bad as. And yet God is reading it as sin. Period. One of the things that just sticks out to me in the Bible is when you know what is right and you don't do it, it is considered sin. That boy, I don't know if we realize how dangerous that is, because we just don't think of ourselves. Oh, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a bad girl. I'm not a bad one. I don't do this and I don't do that. And I ain't never been to jail and I ain't never stole from nobody. And boy, when we think about how God looks at things, sometimes in my own private time, I cringe and I say, oh Lord, I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do it. But I realized that the stuff that I did, the Bible said all of us have, sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, regardless of what we did do and what we didn't do. We are saved by his grace. We love to think of someone else who's worse off than we are. But like I said, even sometimes in my private time, although I didn't do things that other people did, I realized how God had to just change and how he's still changing me and how I'm still asking him, what God, that thought right there, I don't want to stay there, that kind of passed my mind or passed my heart. And I want to make sure it doesn't stay there. We have to stay close to God, because as we just got finished talking about, I believe Shantice and I were talking about it on Wednesday. It's only that much that keeps us from being the people that are in the news. You're listening to all of these ratchet, nasty, disgusting things for the past, few months. And now that Diddy is on trial, boy, some stuff it's come out. Here's the problem. A whole lot of us are sitting looking at that screen, listening to that report, reading, going, ooh, he's so nasty, and I ain't never did nothing like that, and I could never do that. But yet, you're doing some other things. How is God reading that? And I want us to think about that more and more and more. How is God looking at the things that I do? How is God looking at the things that I feel? How is God looking at the things that, I've said is okay? Because at least I didn't. At least I'm not. See, when people like Diddy are put and R. Kelly are put out there, and all this disgusting, deplorable things are out there, it kind of dismisses some of the disgusting, deplorable things that we've done. But here's my suggestion. We need to always look at ourselves as disgusting and deplorable. Why? Because the Bible tells us that we are filthy rags in the eyes of God. We're not as pure as we think we are. All those little nasty things we think and feel and say and do, they are just as nasty as some of the stuff that Cassie has said she has had to deal with Diddy about. And it ain't good for us. So we need to stay before God. I don't care how slight it is you think it is. We need to stay before God. And then when we know we're nasty, then we really need to stay before God. And when we don't think we're nasty, then we really need to stay before God. Because see, the enemy would have you believe that you're not that bad. And yet, when he goes down, the Bible says he's pulling a whole lot with him. So make sure you're not in that number. I caution you today to make sure that you stick close to God to ensure that you're not in that number that goes down. All right? Just listen to the things that are said here, and you will definitely find a need to stay before the Lord. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the men, for always taking us into a thought-provoking weekend. Thank you for hanging out with us and keeping that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to just take Jesus as your personal Savior right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to just strengthen that relationship with the Lord. Think about the things that you're saying, you're doing, and you're feeling. Later is not promised to any of us. Until this weekend. Yes, we're going to try this one more time. This Sunday, come on in the room and see what we're praying about. If I miss you then, God spares, I'll see you on Monday morning, where we are shaking the Monday morning blues together. Until then, God spares. I love you.